Good morning students. Today we are going to discuss about Geography Chapter 2, Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources. Students, in this chapter we will be discussing what are the different natural resources what we got naturally by the nature. Yes. First of all, let us take details about land. Students, we know land is one of the most important natural resources. The Earth's total land cover is about 30% of the total area of Earth's surface. Yes. That means land covers just about 30% of the surface of the Earth. So, it is not suitable for living everywhere because of a lot of additional conditions that affect life. Students, next we are going to discuss about habitable and inhabitable. What do you mean by habitable? Habitable means able to be lived in. That means suitable to be lived in or suitable for habitation. So, habitable means the parts of land which are suitable for living are known as habitable. Habitable means yes, able to be lived in. Next we have inhabitable. Students, what do you mean by inhabitable? Yes, inhabitable means not able to be lived in. That means the parts of land which are not suitable for living are known as inhabitable. What is the difference between habitable and inhabitable? Yes, habitable means yes, able to be lived in. Inhabitable means not able to be lived in. The parts of land which are suitable for living are known as habitable. The parts of land which are not suitable for living are known as inhabitable. For example, settlements grew near the river valleys because the availability of water and fertile land. Students, plains and river valleys provide suitable land and climatic condition for agriculture. Am I right? Therefore, these are the densely populated areas of the world. Students, if we take desert are thinly populated because no water is available. So, people could get dehydrated. The land is not fertile to grow crops. So, deserts are thinly populated. Moving on to understand land use and classification of land. Land use is the term used to describe the human use of land. Students, you know land is used in many ways. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads, and setting up of industries. Yes, this is commonly termed as land use. So, land is used in many ways and for various purposes, which is commonly termed as land use. Land can be used for agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads, and setting up of industries. Students, what do you mean by land use? Yes, land use is the term used to describe the human use of land. Students, do you know the use of land is determined by physical factors as well as human factors? What are the physical factors? Yes, the physical factors include topography, soil, climate, minerals, and availability of water. So, factors determining the land use include physical factors like topography, availability of water, climate, minerals, soil, etc. Students, population and technology are human factors. Yes, population and technology are human factors which are also important determinants of land use pattern. So, the use of land is determined by physical factors as well as human factors. Students, can you tell what human factors determine land use pattern? Yes, human factors affecting land use pattern are population and technology. Moving on to understand classification of land. Students, land usually has ownership. It may be private land or community land. Students, on the basis of ownership, land can be classified into private land and community land. What do you mean by private land? Yes. Private land means it is owned by individuals or group of individuals. Private land is owned by, yes, an individual or group of individuals. For example, house. Next we have community land. Students, community land is owned by the society or community for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs, etc. Students, community land is meant for use by anyone in the society. Community lands are also known as common property resources. Students, can you tell which two factors mainly determine the use of land? Yes, the two main factors which determine the use of land are physical factor and human factor. Students, define the term land use. Yes, land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, which is termed as land use. Land use means, yes, the way in which a particular section of land is being used is called land use. Moving on to understand land degradation and conservation of land resource. First of all, we are going to discuss about land degradation. Students, what do you mean by land degradation? Yes, land degradation means decline in the productive capacity of land for some time or permanently is known as land degradation. Students, people and their demands are growing, but the availability of land is limited. The ever-growing demand of people for land to build up commercial areas, housing complexes in urban areas, and expand the agricultural land in the rural areas reflects the changes in land use. Students, these changes are responsible for the major threats like land degradation, landslides, soil erosion, desertification, etc. Therefore, the present rate of degradation of land must be checked. So, some of the measures that can be used to practice to conserve our land. They are afforestation, land reclamation, etc. Students, what do you mean by afforestation? Yes, afforestation means planting trees. Yes, planting trees on an area of land in order to form a forest. So, afforestation means, yes, planting trees. Okay, what do you mean by land reclamation? Yes, land reclamation is the process of creating new lands. Students, it is also known as landfill. See, it is the process of creating new land from oceans, seas, riverbeds, etc. Moving on to understand landslides. Students, what do you mean by landslides? Yes, it refers to the movement of a mass of rock, earth down a slope. Students, landslides are caused by heavy rain, earthquake, volcanic eruption, etc. See, the impact of a landslide can be extensive, including loss of life, damage to land, loss of natural resources, etc. So, land degradation, landslides, soil erosion, desertification are major threats to the environment. Students, what do you mean by landslide? Yes, landslide refers to the movement of a mass of rock, earth down a slope. Moving on to understand soil. Students, what do you mean by soil? Yes, soil means the thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth. Yes. That means soil is the thin layer of material covering the earth's surface. Students, it is formed from the weathering of rocks. What do you mean by weathering? Yes, weathering means breaking up of rocks. Breaking up of rocks on the earth's surface is known as weathering. Soil is the thin layer of material covering the earth's surface. See, it is formed from the weathering of rocks. What do you mean by weathering? Yes, weathering means breaking up of rocks. Students, the thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth is called soil. Students, it is closely linked to land. Students, soil is made up of different things like organic matter, minerals, and weathered rocks, which are found on the earth's surface. That means it is made up of mainly of mineral particles, organic materials, air, water and living organisms. Students, now we are going to discuss about factors of soil formation. What are the factors of soil formation? Yes, parent rock, climate, relief, time, flora, fauna and microorganism are the factors of soil formation. Students, parent rock means the rock from which soil is derived is called parent rock. Parent rock determines color, texture, chemical properties, etc. Students, next we have climate. What do you mean by climate? Students, climate is an average weather condition of a place for over a longer period of time. So, climate is the one of the factor of soil formation. Students, relief or topography affects the moisture and temperature of soil. Students, time determines thickness of soil profile. Next we have flora, fauna and microorganism. Flora means plants, fauna means animals. So flora, fauna and microorganism affect the rate of humus formation. So parent rock, climate, relief, time and flora, fauna and microorganism are the factors of soil formation. Students, what are the factors of soil formation? Yes, parent rock, climate, relief, time and flora, fauna and microorganism. Students, can you tell what is parent rock? Yes, the rock from which soil is derived is called parent rock. Moving on to understand degradation of soil and conservation measures. Students, soil degradation is the loss of the physical, chemical and biological qualities of soil. See, soil degradation is defined as a change in the soil quality. It is the decline in soil condition. So, soil degradation means, yes, it is the loss of the physical, chemical and biological qualities of soil. Simply we can say, yes, it is the decline in soil condition. Students, what are the factors that lead to soil degradation? Yes, here we have deforestation, overuse of chemicals, rainwash, floods, overgrazing, fertilizers or pesticides, landslides are the factors of soil degradation. Students, what do you mean by soil conservation? Yes, soil conservation is a combination of practices used to protect the soil from degradation. Soil conservation is the prevention of loss of the topmost layer of the soil. Students, now we are going to discuss about what are the methods of soil conservation. Students, here we have mulching, contour barriers, rock dam, terrace farming, intercropping, contour ploughing and shelter belts are the methods of soil conservation. Students, at first we are going to discuss about mulching. What do you mean by mulching? Yes. See, mulch is a material placed on the soil surface to maintain moisture and improve soil condition. That means mulching is the process of covering the bare ground between plants with a layer of organic matter like straw. This helps in retaining soil moisture. So, mulch is a material placed on the soil surface to maintain moisture and improve soil condition. Next, we are going to discuss about contour barriers. Students, farmers use stones, grass and soil to build barriers along contours. Students, on that time, trenches are made in front of the barriers to collect water. What do you mean by trench? Yes, trench means a long narrow hole dug in the ground for water to flow along. Next, we are going to discuss about rock dam. Students, rock dam are small dams made up of stones. See, small barriers of dams constructed of stone to reduce soil erosion. Moving on to understand terrace farming. Students, terrace farming is a method of farming. See, terrace farming refers to the act of constructing steps or terraces to conduct farming activities. They reduce soil erosion. Next, we are going to discuss about intercropping. Students, intercropping is a multiple cropping practice that involves growing two or more crops next to each other at the same time. That means in intercropping, different crops are grown in alternative rows and are shown at different times to protect the soil. Moving on to understand contour ploughing. Students, contour ploughing means ploughing parallel to the contours of a hill slope. Yes, ploughing parallel to the contours of a hill slope to form a natural barrier for water to flow down the slope. Next, we are going to discuss about shelter belts. Students, shelter belts are a series of trees or shrubs that are grown in a form of horizontal line. That means, in the coastal and dry regions, rows of trees are planted to check the wind movement to protect soil cover. So, mulching, contour barriers, rock dam, terrace farming, intercropping, contour ploughing, and shelter belt are the methods of soil conservation. Students, can you tell what method of soil conservation may be used in coastal and dry regions? Yes, shelter belts are used to protect the soil in coastal and dry regions. Moving on to understand water. Students, you know water is an important natural resource. It covers 3/4 of the Earth's surface. See, Earth is also called as water planet because it contains large amount of water. Students, why is the Earth called the water planet? Yes, the Earth's surface has about 3/4 water, so it is called water planet. Next, we are going to discuss about distribution of water on the Earth. Students, the ocean covers 2/3 of the Earth's surface and supports a rich variety of plant and animal life. The ocean water is not fit for human consumption because ocean water is salty water. Students, fresh water is just about 2.7% of the total water on the earth. Only 2.7% is fresh water. Students, in this, 70% of this occurs in the form of ice sheets and glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland, and mountain regions. So, only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. Next, we are going to discuss about water cycle. Students, water cycle means the water cycle is the process by which water continuously changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere, and land. That means the natural process of the motion of water through evaporation, condensation, and rainfall is called water cycle. Moving on to understand uses of water. Students, you know we use water for a lot of purposes like for drinking, washing, in irrigation, for industries, for generating electricity through reservoirs of dams, and so on. So, we use water for a lot of purposes. Life is impossible without water. Students, water shortage is a common problem in many parts of the world. Students, water scarcity is caused by over-exploitation and contamination of water sources. So, steps need to be taken to conserve water. Students, we know water is a renewable natural resource. Yes, but its overuse and population make it unfit for use. Students, now we are going to discuss about methods of water conservation. Students, at first, forest and vegetation cover. See, forest and other vegetation cover slow the surface runoff and replenish underground water. Students, this is one of the method of water conservation. See, water harvesting is another method to save surface runoff. Students, the third method is the canals used for irrigating fields should be properly lined to minimize losses by water seepage. Students, in dry regions with high rates of evaporation, drip irrigation is very useful. The valuable water resource can therefore be conserved by adopting these means of irrigation. Students, can you tell In what forms is freshwater found on the earth? Yes, freshwater is found in the forms of groundwater, water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor. Students, do you know what is the name given to the process involved in rain formation? Yes, the process involved in the formation of rain is called water cycle. Students, can you name some regions of water scarcity in the world? Yes, Africa, West Asia, South Asia, parts of Western USA, Northwest Mexico, parts of South America and Australia face water scarcity. Moving on to understand natural vegetation and wildlife. Students, plants and trees constitute natural vegetation. So, natural vegetation consists of plants and trees. Next, we have wildlife. Students, the animal kingdom, which consists of animals, birds, aquatic creatures, and insects, is called wildlife. Students, natural vegetation and wildlife exist in the biosphere. That means, natural vegetation and wildlife exist only in the narrow zone of contact between the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere that we call biosphere. Students, what do you mean by biosphere? Yes, biosphere means plant and animal kingdom together make biosphere. Students, in the biosphere, living beings are interrelated and interdependent on each other for survival. This life supporting system is known as the ecosystem. Ecosystem means, yes, all plants, animals, and human beings depend on their immediate surroundings. See, they are also interdependent on each other. So, this relation between the living organisms as well as the relation between the organisms and their surroundings form an ecosystem. Students, if we take natural vegetation, plants provide us with a number of products like timber, give shelter to animals, produce oxygen we breathe, protect soil, so essential for growing crops, act as shelter belts, help in storage of underground water, give us fruits, nuts, gum, medicinal plants, papers, and uncountable things. Students, if we take wildlife, wildlife includes animals, birds, insects, as well as aquatic life forms. See, they provide us a number of products such as milk, meat, etc. Insects like bees provide us honey. Students, the birds feed on insects and act as decomposers as well. Moving on to understand distribution of natural vegetation. Students, the growth of vegetation is mainly dependent upon temperature and moisture. So, vegetation depends on temperature and moisture. Students, natural vegetation is classified into forest, grasslands, scrubs, and tundra vegetation. Students, forests are classified as evergreen forest and deciduous forest. Students, if we take evergreen forest, these forests are very dense. These forests receive heavy rainfall throughout the year. So, the trees of these forests do not shed their leaves. If we take deciduous forest, these forests are found in the regions which experience seasonal changes. These forests shed their leaves in the dry season to conserve water. Students, this is the difference between evergreen forest and deciduous forest. Both types of forest are further classified as tropical or temperate forest based on their location in different latitudes. Next, we are going to discuss about grasslands. Students, grasslands grow in the region of moderate rain. That means they are found in the regions of moderate rainfall which also have short trees. Next, we are going to discuss about scrubs. Scrubs are grown in dry areas of low rainfall. See, in such areas, plants have deep roots and leaves with thorny and waxy surface reduce loss of moisture through transpiration. Next, we are going to discuss about tundra vegetation. The vegetation of cold polar regions comprise of mosses and lichens. Students, if you reach the polar region, you will find the place extremely cold. Yes, The growth of natural vegetation is very limited here. See, only mosses, lichens, and very small shrubs are found here. It grows during the very short summer. See, this is called tundra type of vegetation. This vegetation is found in the polar areas of Europe, Asia, and North America. Students differentiate between evergreen and deciduous forest. Yes, evergreen forests never shed their leaves, whereas deciduous forests shed their leaves once a year. Moving on to understand conservation of natural vegetation and wildlife. Students, forests are our wealth. Plants give shelter to the animals and together they maintain the ecosystem. But a sharp declining in the number of particular species is the result of poaching for collection and illegal trade of hides, skins, nails, teeth, horns as well as feathers. Students, what do you mean by poaching? Yes, poaching means illegal hunting. Students, the animals are poached for collection and illegal trade of hides, skins, nails, teeth, horns as well as feathers. So, these can be conserved by increasing awareness. Students, our government has introduced national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and biosphere reserves for this purpose. Students, human activities in several parts of the world have disturbed the natural habitats of many species. So, poaching should be severely dealt with. Indiscriminate killings need to be discouraged. Social awareness must be created about importance of trees and social forestry. Therefore, awareness programs like social forestry and Vanamohotsava should be encouraged at the regional and community level. Students, what is Vanamohotsava? The social program of planting trees organized at community level is called Vanamohotsava. Students, do you know many countries have passed laws against the trade as well as killing of birds and animals? Students, what do you mean by Vanamohotsava? Yes, the social program of planting trees organized at community level is called Vanamohotsava. Moving on to understand CITES. Student CITES stands for the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Students, what is the full form of CITES? Is the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Students, it is a global agreement among governments to regulate or ban international trade. That means CITES is a multilateral treaty to protect endangered plants and animals. Students, now I am going to revise important terms. At first, we are going to discuss about habitable and inhabitable. Students, what do you mean by habitable? Yes, habitable means able to be lived in. Inhabitable means not able to be lived in. Am I right? Yes. So, the parts of land which are suitable for living are known as habitable. The parts of land which are not suitable for living are known as inhabitable. See, this is the difference between habitable and inhabitable. So, habitable means able to be lived in. Inhabitable means not able to be lived in. Friends, next we are going to discuss about private land and community land. On the basis of ownership, land can be classified as private land and community land. Students, what do you mean by private land? Yes. Private land means it is owned by individuals or group of individuals. Students, what do you mean by community land? Yes. Community land is owned by the society or community. Yes. Community land is owned by the society for common uses like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts, medicinal herbs, etc. Community lands are also called common property resources. Students, private land is owned by, yes, individuals or group of individuals. Community land is owned by, yes, society or community. Moving on to understand deforestation. Students, deforestation means cutting down trees. Yes, the action of cutting down trees is called deforestation. Deforestation means, yes, cutting down trees over a large area. And to understand afforestation. Students, what do you mean by afforestation? Yes, afforestation means planting trees. Yes, planting trees on an area of land in order to form a forest. Simply, we can say the action of planting trees is called afforestation. Moving on to understand weathering. Weathering means breaking up of rocks. The breaking up of rocks on the earth's surface is known as weathering. Next, we have fresh water. Students, what do you mean by fresh water? Yes, water fit for human consumption is called fresh water. Students, only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. It is found as groundwater, surface water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor in the atmosphere. Next, we are going to discuss about water cycle. Students, the water cycle is the process by which water continually changes its forms and circulates between oceans, atmosphere, and land. That means the natural process of the motion of water through evaporation, condensation, and rainfall is called water cycle. Students, what do you mean by water cycle? Yes. Water cycle is the process by which water continually changes its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere, and land. Moving on to understand biosphere. Biosphere means, yes, plant and animal kingdom together make biosphere. Hence, biosphere means living world. Biosphere comprised of plant and animal kingdom. Students, plants and animals are the two major components of biotic environment. Students, next we are going to discuss about natural vegetation. Natural vegetation means plant and trees constitute natural vegetation. Next, wildlife. Students, wildlife means the animal kingdom which consists of animals, birds, aquatic creatures and insects is called wildlife. Students, natural vegetation and wildlife exist in the biosphere. The supporting an interdependent life system that exists in the biosphere is called ecosystem. Students, what do you mean by ecosystem? Yes. All plants, animals, and human beings depend on their immediate surroundings. Yes. They are also interdependent on each other. See this relation between the living organisms as well as the relation between the organism and their surroundings form an ecosystem. Ecosystem means, yes, the relation between the living organism as well as the relation between the organisms and their surroundings form an ecosystem. Next, we are going to discuss about land reclamation. Students, what do you mean by land reclamation? Yes, it is the process of creating new lands. So, land reclamation means creating new lands. Students, it is the process of creating new lands from oceans, seas, riverbeds, etc. It is also known as landfill. Land reclamation means, yes, creating new lands. And to understand soil degradation. Students, soil degradation is defined as a change in the soil quality. That means it is the decline in soil condition. Students, soil degradation is the loss of the physical, chemical, and biological qualities of soil. Simply, we can say soil degradation means a change in the soil quality. It is the decline in soil condition. Moving on to understand soil conservation. Students, soil conservation is a combination of practices used to protect the soil from degradation. See, soil conservation is the prevention of loss of the topmost layer of the soil. Students, now I am going to revise very short answer type questions. Students, what human factors determine land use pattern? Yes, human factors affecting land use pattern are population and technology. Students, you know the use of land is determined by physical as well as human factors. The physical factors include topography, soil, climate, minerals, and availability of water. Population and technology are human factors, which are also important determinants of land use pattern. What human factors determine land use pattern? Yes, human factors affecting land use pattern are population and technology. Friends, what is parent rock? Yes, the rock from which soil is derived is called parent rock. Students, can you tell what method of soil conservation may be used in coastal and dry regions? Yes, shelter belts are used to protect the soil in coastal and dry regions. What are the methods of soil conservation? Yes, mulching, contour barriers, rock dam, terrace farming, intercropping, contour ploughing and shelter belts are the methods of soil conservation. Students, shelter belts are used to protect the soil in coastal and dry regions. Students, can you tell name some regions of water scarcity in the world? Yes, Africa, West Asia, South Asia, parts of Western USA, Northwest Mexico, parts of South America and Australia face water scarcity. So what do you mean by water scarcity? Yes, shortage of water as compared to its demand is known as water scarcity. Students, in what forms is freshwater found on the earth? Yes, freshwater is found in the forms of groundwater, water in rivers and lakes, and as water vapor. Students, can you tell which factors are responsible for soil formation? Yes, the factors responsible for soil formation are climate, relief, flora, fauna, and microorganisms. What do you mean by flora? Yes, flora means plants. What do you mean by fauna? Yes, fauna means animals. So, the factors responsible for soil formation are climate, relief, flora, fauna, and microorganism. Students, define the term land use. Yes, land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, which is termed as land use. The way in which a particular section of land is being used is called land use. Land is used for different purposes such as agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, which is termed as land use. Students, what is soil? Yes, the uppermost layer of the earth crust is known as soil. Students, can you tell why should we conserve biodiversity? Yes, we should conserve biodiversity because it is very important for all living organisms and for the environment. We should conserve biodiversity to save it from becoming extinct. Students, define soil degradation. Yes, degradation is defined as a change in the soil quality. Yes, it is the decline in soil condition. Students, soil degradation is the loss of the physical, chemical, and biological qualities of soil. So, soil degradation is defined as yes, a change in the soil quality. Students, can you tell how is water an important resource? Water is an important natural resource. Yes, it covers 3/4 of the earth's surface. Students, we use water for a lot of purposes like for drinking, washing, in irrigation, for industries, etc. Farmers depend on water for irrigation. Water is also used in cooking food. So, we use water for a lot of purposes. Life is impossible without water. Students, why is Earth called the water planet? Yes, the Earth's surface has about 3/4 water. So, it is called water planet. Students, water is an important renewable natural resource. It covers 3/4 of the Earth's surface. Earth is also called as water planet because it contains large amount of water. Water fit for human consumption is called fresh water. Students, only 1% of fresh water is available and fit for human use. Thank you.